Hey, Bob Arnold here. We're going to go with like take number 37 on the Mod 5 inclusive video for AP 855 educational leadership. I'm going to toss up a little video. I don't know. I thought this kind of gave you some really good insight as to what inclusivity would look like, hopefully in a school setting. So here we go. So my first creditable article comes from Education Week, the 19th. I guess that's this weekend. Peter DeWitt and Sean Slay, they give us 5 simple steps to follow to help foster positive school climate. The first one for school leadership is to get out of the office. I facilitate this, I guess, obviously by being in the hallway to make contact with students, with staff. But some of the points that they made were when buses come in the morning, you're out there greeting kids. When buses leave at night, you're out sending them home, hopefully with a good feeling. Got to make them feel like you're glad to see them every day. Out there with a smile, pat on the shoulder. We do a flipping thing, so we're always doing knuckle bumps and handshakes. Anything to make it feel like it's on a personal level. Have authentic conversations. I guess to me the least authentic conversation we have sometimes is staff meetings. You're just kind of there to disseminate information, which is necessary. But getting everybody together just to tell them something you probably could have put in an email because it's pretty impersonable stuff, and it really doesn't have it's more for FYI than it is about creating school climate, about creating inclusiveness in your building. But have authentic conversations. If you have information to give and there's something to expound on it. Ask for opinions. The more information that you have, the more likely it is you're going to make a better decision about what you need to make those decisions about. Encourage the student voice. Make sure that the students have a vehicle by which they can allow their voice to be heard, both positive and negative. Some, a newspaper, a blog, they put, there's a chalkboard in the hallway that they put messages up. Somehow they need to get you information that lets you know what they're thinking and how they're doing. They also mentioned very curiously that body language, obviously we know that that's a lot of what we communicate, maybe subconsciously a little bit more than consciously, but they communicate through body language. And sometimes middle school kids and high schoolers, for those people that have dealt with them, sometimes they think you look at them that you should understand what they're going through. Well, and probably as an adult, unless you're a parent and you're tuned into that child, you probably don't know what's going on in their head. So sometimes they want you to ask. So make sure you do that. Engage parents, just like with the bus before and after school. In our district, we don't have a lot of kids that ride the bus. We're a neighborhood school building, so we have kids that walk. And the ones that don't walk, well, parents are dropping them off on the way to work. So go out there, and when you're greeting little Jimmy and little Susie out there, talk to mom and dad. All you got to do is stop by the car and say hello or wave at them and make some personal contact, that shows those people that you're involved at a very high level with what their son or daughter's doing in your building. And the last thing that they mentioned is to flip information. And I guess I had never heard this term before, but all that means is getting information that people need to have out to them before, say, a meeting, before you do staff development, before you do those things that talk about data and test results or whatever it is. Make sure they have the information early enough that they have a time to go over it. Create opinions. Maybe they're going to do a little research on it. Meetings 2, 3, 4 days away. What it is makes for a more informed participant at the meeting. Excuse me. And it also it gets you less of just a reactionary type look at what they're going to see, and they're going to go, well, oh gosh, I need to look at this for a while. So, if you can eliminate that part of it, then I think what's going to happen, it's going to go a lot faster and a lot smoother. The last thing they gave us was the leadership inclusive techniques, and then you can kind of use this any way you like, but I thought it kind of said it too. The first one is to empower, and that's to enable your team, and this is about the team specifically. Allows the team to grow and excel, make sure the team has the tools they need to succeed, and giving them an opportunity to grow. Okay, and then again, this is speaking, you're the team leader, you're the principal, and you've got a group that you're catering to. Accountability, and this demonstrates confidence by holding them responsible for what they control. As we've talked about many times and wrote about many times, when you have a team that's inclusive, everybody's got their little part to do. But if they have a part, then they have to be accountable to that part. And you got to allow your team to lead, but you also got to be there when they need to have assistance. Courage, and this is to set aside personal feelings. Yes, I said courage, to set aside personal feelings, do what needs to be done, act upon your convictions and principles, and when you believe that you're right. Working together for the benefit of the team and realizing when I need to lead and when you need to follow. I think it's talking about the leader. And the last one, which probably should have been the first one, humility. Admit and accept that you make mistakes. Seek contributions from others to overcome your limitations. You do not need to know everything. You do not know everything. Let other people be the expert, especially if they have a background in something like that. And let your team assist. That's what they're there for. And then trust when you need help. that your team will be there for you as well. A successful team is not the work of one person, but of multiple people working together to achieve the same shared goal or same shared vision. Success can only be achieved if each team member knows their ideas and actions matter, creating an inclusive environment. And our second article comes to us from Educational Leadership and Administration. This was a study that was done back in, looks like '07. The title was Inclusive Leadership Preparing Principals for the Role That Awaits Them. pretty ominous thing back in '07. And really what this details is, more than anything else, the unprepared nature of school principals for students with disabilities and special needs. But what it talked about essentially is how NCLB had really kind of the hallmark of that was kind of the fact that we ended up with highly qualified teachers. Now I know the middle school is still the exception to the rule, and there are exceptions everywhere, even in Kansas, but that for the most part, when you were hiring somebody, you were attempting to hire somebody that was degreed in that content area for that level of education. The problem exists, though, that there was no special preparation for leadership concerning students with disabilities. And while teachers, they're prepared to handle the most diverse students that the school has to offer, the principal really faces a lot of additional challenge dealing with special education initiatives and how the programming really works. Personally, I can tell you, I leaned on a first-year special ed teacher quite a bit when I first started in administration several years back. Again, graduating from the school I graduated from, great teacher prep school, but when it came to prepping principals and those in leadership, didn't do much for it all other than the law aspect of it, and that was just included in school law. The inclusion of students with disabilities in general education, for the most part, is kind of a vexing deal for most people because sometimes general ed teachers really don't understand their role. To tell you the truth, they're going to need somebody to explain it to them, somebody to work with them. And given the complexity of that, inclusion is often misunderstood and sometimes resisted by teachers. And not, again, I don't think it has much to do with working with a student with a disability. It's just that they don't understand what the student needs. And they fully don't understand, as a school administrators, what special needs educators can interrelate with curriculum and communicate, easy for me to say, communications to others, that they need to be involved in that as well, because they are the one communicating the programming that's going to happen. All educators need some skills and especially need to develop the temperaments that can provide instruction and the assessments to students with and without disabilities, plus the ability to work collaboratively to solve the problems that are going to come up on a daily basis. Facilitating such collaborative problem solving must be modeled and nurtured and fostered by the person at this point in time that knows the least amount about it, and that's probably the principal. So the principal's beliefs and attitudes towards special education are key here. Common factors that they've identified to help include in developing those attitudes would be establishing a communication system that allows for an ongoing dialogue about students with disabilities and the needs that they have in the general ed classroom. Be actively involved in the IEP process. My Lord, what a shock it was for me the first time I went there. Some of the stuff that was included in the IEP and what the student had to have. Be personally involved with the parents and students of with disabilities. They're gonna have special needs. They don't look like John and Jane Doe from down the street with a pair of little blonde twins that come to school and you never hear about them because everything works for them and it does it in an easy fashion. There are going to be concerns that you'll have. Most of them, for the most part, very positive. Some of them are going to be things that you're going to run into that you just don't know. And then you're going to have to collaboratively develop philosophies regarding this inclusion. This is an ongoing conversation in my building. This has simply seemed to be part of every staff meeting we had. Of course, we had staff meetings at teacher request every other week. They were usually about an hour long, which is way too long for a staff meeting for some of the stuff. But when it comes to the collaborative nature of it, that's the time that you have to give to collaborative work regarding students and their needs, and that's when it needs to be done. And then the principal's also got to articulate clear policies for addressing discipline when those issues do come up, and they will.